Right, hello. I am attempting this video for the millionth time now, so let's see if it works. So first, what we're gonna do is measure the patient's PD with the PD ruler and insert it on your phoropter. Also, make sure the bubble is leveled on your phoropter so that it's level on the patient's face. And also put the 2400E with the red and green filter up on the M&S chart, and direct your patient to look at that chart and instruct them to do so, and then tell them I'm gonna get a tentative prescription right now. And then what you're gonna do is with your beam, keep in mind your working distance. Make sure everything's leveled out, by the way. Let's level this out. Roll it out. Make sure the eyes are not occluded. That would not be good. Make sure both eyes are open. And then nothing here. All right. So I am beaming vertically, and I see neutrality is just a bright light. So I turn my beam this way now. Keep in mind my working distance. Up and down, up and down. And I still see neutrality. So looks pretty good for the right eye. And then I'm going to move on to the left eye now, beaming vertically again, keep in mind my working distance. And I see with motion within the pupil with my direction of the retinoscope. So that tells me to add a click of plus. And reading again, I still see width, but slightly less. So I know I'm coming closer to neutrality. So I do one more click. And I found neutrality. It's just bright and beautiful. So what I'm going to do now is flip my beam, go up and down, up and down, up and down. And I'm finding against motion. So what that tells me, which is a good thing in terms of the type of phoropter we're using, is that this person has maybe some slight astigmatism. So what I'm going to do now is crank up the sill by an interval. And I'm seeing still against, but close to neutrality. One more click. All right, so he looks neutral there. I'm going to go back to my first eye, my right eye, and do my third eye check, making sure everything's consistent. Still neutrality, flip my beam again. Still neutrality. All right, so we're looking pretty good there. What I would do now is take out my working distance so that the patient can do, I can do a VA on the patient. So my working distance is 2 diopters. So I would do 8 clicks. So take out my 8 clicks. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And from that, my ret values are giving me -2 diopters in the right eye, completely spherical. And then in the left eye, it's giving me -1.5 diopters, -0.5, axis 180. That's what it's telling me because I saw the light match up with the light of my retinoscope. So that's all good. And now after that, I would do my VA to see where the patient's at. Then we'll move on to our subjective refraction. So I would change the screen to the 3-line chart with the 50 being on the top. And then I would move on to the right eye, which means I fog my left eye. And then I would add fog to the right eye. I'm going to do 1.5 diopters of added fog. And then I'm going to ask them to read the smallest line that they can. So on the 2050, So what I would do is remove a click of fog and improve for one line each time they read 2015. So can you read the top line? No. Can you read the top line? No. Can you make out the top line? No. Top line? No. Walking them back? No. All right, so it looks like when they can start reading it is when it's roughly like one or like 0.75, negative 0.75 diopters. So I keep walking them. And then when they reach -2, that's when they could read the 2015/2020. So we know they're good there. What we would do now is isolate the 2030 line. All right. And then I would flip the JCC in front of their eye. And then what I would do now is put it on axis position. So that just means the dots are like lined up like this, not on top of each other like a cross. It's more like straddling the axis. And what I would do now is put it on the axis, and then I would put a 0.25 of SIL right there in the 180 and ask them which view is better 1 or better 2. So we always chase the red, so better 1 or better 2. And then let me just look at these values. All right. So they like 2, so I'm going to move the axis down a bit. Better 1 or better 2. This time the red dot's on top and they like 2, so I'm going to move it up a bit. And then better 1 or better 2 or about the same, and then they stay the same. So we know they're good there. Now what we're going to do, now we got the value of 165 for their axis. Now we're going to switch to the power position, which is with the dots superimposed. And I'll leave the negative 0.25 diopters of SIL in there. And then I would ask them, the patient, which is better 1 or 2? Better 1 or better 2? And they say about the same. So what you do there is you go to the 2025 and ask if they can read it. Say they can, so that's good. And then we push to 2015 because we like to see if our patient can read better, and they can't. So what we're left here is with a -2, negative 0.25 axis, 165 for their right eye. Next, we're going to move on to their left eye. We're going to do the same thing. We're going to add that 1.5 diopters of fog. And then we're going to include the right eye this time and then open the left. And then we're going to put up the 2050 chart now. Put that back up on there. And then when the patient again improves with one line, each time they go down to 2015, then you could stop. So we are stopping here at, where we're stopping? We're stopping here. All right, so I would flip my JCC onto the eye. Make sure it's in axis position again. And then what you're going to do now is show the two views, which is make sure to add your click of SIL, better 1, better 2. So they like better 1, so we flip it back down and bring it down. And then better 1 or better 2. And then they're like about the same. So I'm getting 0.15 for the axis here. What I would do now is show them another view and the patient would push back between like 180 and 005. And then when that happens, they would say like it looks the same. And then after that, I would move the JCC to the power position. So up and down. What we do now is move them to the 2030. Actually, no. What we do is ask them to go to the 2030 line and then ask the patient if they could read it. Say they can't. So you put in 0.25 more of SIL. And then it would be 0.75 diopters total. And then you would ask the patient to see what they could see. So they could see up to the 2030. Put in another click of SIL. So at this point, we're at 1 diopter SIL. And you would ask them about the 2025 line. They could read it. And then mention, just make sure that when you add 2, you take away 1. So because I added 2, I take away 1. So that's why we're at negative 1.25 now. I'm adding another click of SIL, and I'm gonna ask them if they could see the 2020 line, and they could see it. So now I would push to 2015. They can't see it. So what we're now left is negative 1.25, negative 1.25, axis 005. So after that, we move on to our prisms, and we put the prism in front of the patient's eyes. And then for the right, you would do base up 3 diopters. So just move it up. And then for the left eye, you would do base down 3 diopters. And then I would add 0.75 of fog and show the 2040 line. So showing the 2040 line and adding my 0.75 of fog. All right. And then I would ask the patient to see what they can see. They should see 2 lines. If not, just cover one up at a time. And then ask the patient to which line is more legible. Is it the top line or the bottom line? So say if the top line's fuzzier, so we would add negative 0.25 to the left eye and ask which was clear. So we would do here, ask them which was clear, and then say they're equal. We walk them out of the fog to the most plus or the best VA and find it after 2 clicks. So 1, 2. Okay, yeah, 1, 2. And then what I'm finding here is a negative 1.75, negative 0.25, axis 165 for the right eye. And then for the left eye, I'm finding a negative 1.25, 1.25, negative 1.25, axis 005. So that's how you do that.